Physical examination, arterial and venous pulse. Arterial pulse examination technique. Analysis of the arterial pulse can be accomplished by palpation of the carotid and or the brachial arteries. We encourage the examiner to be familiar with palpation of the brachial arteries, which can be particularly helpful in patients with increased neck circumference, previous cervical radiation, or in the presence of carotid disease. Palpation of the brachial arteries can be achieved by resting the patient's elbow on the examiner's right palm with palpation of the vessel being exerted with the right thumb. The brachial pulse is usually deeper than others. The examiner's left hand should gently extend or flex the patient's arm in order to improve palpation of the vessel. Alternatively, palpation can also be performed directly by the examiner's left finger pads, with the right fingers being used for extra pressure if needed. Palpation of the carotid arteries should be performed with the right finger pads. The sternocleidomastoid muscle should be mobilized laterally to optimize palpation of the vessel. Once the artery has been properly identified, attention should be paid to the amplitude and contour of the arterial pulse, as will be described below. Palpation of the other upper and lower extremity pulses is part of a comprehensive cardiovascular examination and should always be performed, particularly with simultaneous palpation of the radial and femoral pulse in patients with suspected coarctation of the aorta. Now, abnormalities of arterial pulse. The classic arterial pulse contour described in severe aortic stenosis is tardus, slurred upstroke and delayed peak, and parvus, reduced in amplitude. The degree of tardus, graded as 1+ to 4+, is a measure of the severity of the stenosis and reflected in the late peaking continuous wave velocity contour on Doppler echocardiography, as well as the delayed upstroke on the central aortic pressure at cardiac catheterization. Although frequently described in textbooks as one single pattern, one of the two components might prevail, more tardus than parvus, and they should be graded separately. Typically found in valvular aortic stenosis, it should be noted that the parvus and tardus pulse also accompany other forms of fixed left ventricular outflow obstruction. Example, supravalvular aortic stenosis. In this case, however, a normal aortic component of the second heart sound will indicate the aortic valve is spared. In dynamic left ventricular outflow obstruction, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the arterial pulse is usually of normal amplitude but has a brisk upstroke, secondary to an unopposed forceful contraction in early systole before obstruction develops by the hypertrophic ventricle. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy with obstruction is a cause of a bifid pulse caused by the occurrence of obstruction starting in mid-systole. This is seen as a spike and dome pattern on aortic pressure tracings, but the presence of this finding on examination is uncommon. In severe aortic regurgitation, the associated volume overload and left ventricular dilatation cause an increase in stroke volume. The combination of increased stroke volume and the regurgitation itself gives rise to an arterial pulse that is increased in amplitude, bounding, which also collapses very quickly. This is so-called water hammer pulse, typical of severe isolated aortic regurgitation. This phenomenon is not only palpable but might also be manifested as visible arterial pulsations, carotid and brachial arteries most commonly. When mixed aortic valve disease is present and the aortic regurgitation is the predominant lesion, an arterial contour with increased amplitude and two palpable systolic peaks can be present, the disference pulse. Other described abnormalities of the arterial contours include the anacrotic pulse of aortic stenosis, where a positive inscription can be palpated on the ascending limb of the aortic contour, or the dicrotic pulse when there is an exaggeration of the dicrotic notch palpated on descending limb of the aortic pulse, typically seen in shock and severe peripheral vasoconstriction. Hypotension and narrow pulse pressure are also usually present. In patients with severe left ventricular systolic dysfunction, pulsus alternans might be present, where the amplitude of the arterial pulse will vary with every heartbeat. Sometimes the amplitude might be so diminished that only with every other beat can be palpated. As opposed to pulsus paradoxus previously described in the vital signs section, those variations in amplitude are not respirophasic. The presence of pulsus alternans is an ominous sign suggesting very profound severe ventricular systolic dysfunction. These abnormalities can be easily noted invasively by arterial pulse recording or an ascending aortic pressure. The examiner should also assess the amplitude of the arterial pulse as an indirect measurement of cardiac output. Arterial pulse amplitude tends to be proportional to stroke volume. The presence of a low amplitude pulse in the absence of aortic stenosis should suggest reduced cardiac output, such as with severe left ventricular systolic dysfunction, severe mitral stenosis, and constrictive pericarditis. Conversely, the combination of bounding pulses, left ventricular enlargement, and heart failure should suggest high output failure, patent ductus arteriosus, or other arteriovenous fistula. In shock, the arterial pulse is of decreased amplitude but also hyperdynamic as the result of accompanying tachycardia. This is the normal pulse pressure. The figure shows normal arterial pulse waveform and abnormal arterial pulse waveform patterns seen in various disease states. These arterial pulse waveforms illustrate the expected findings on arterial pulse palpation: hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, severe aortic regurgitation, there is wide pulse pressure, severe aortic stenosis, tardus et parvus, hypokinetic or shock, narrow pulse pressure. This figure shows arterial pulse waveform in severe aortic valve stenosis. Aortic and left ventricular pressure tracings left show the parvus and tardus pattern. The parvus and tardus pattern in a patient with severe aortic valve stenosis. The right panel illustrates the prolonged systolic ejection time. Prolonged systolic ejection time and severely increased systolic mean gradient, severely increased systolic mean gradient noted by aortic continuous wave Doppler.